Feeling like you can't visualize the steps that lead you to what you want is an extraordinarily common obstacle when you're manifesting. You know what you want, but then you sit down and try to imagine the steps you need to take to get there, and you don't have a clue. Your mind goes blank. If this is you, I'm so excited that you're watching this. All I knew was when she started talking, something inside me was like energetically something shifted. I bet you've had those moments where you're like, boom, you know that something is meant for you. It's Mel, and I'm so excited to share this very simple, surprising, and shockingly powerful trick that you can use if you ever find yourself feeling stuck when you're manifesting. Feeling like you can't visualize the steps that lead you to what you want is an extraordinarily common obstacle when you're manifesting because, remember, manifesting is the practice of preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to achieve the things that you want. And as you probably know, manifesting has 4 different parts to it. First of all, you gotta give yourself permission to really have what you want. Okay, because you gotta have the thing that you're visualizing be something that is authentically something that you want. Number 2, you must see yourself taking the steps, the tiny actions, and doing the work that will lead you to creating or having what you want. Third, you got to feel in your body what it feels like to do the work, and you also have to feel pride as you see yourself doing the work because that amplifies your mind, body, and spirit, really imprinting and training and preparing for it. And fourth, obviously, you got to take the actions, and all of that manifesting and preparing inspires you to take the actions. But one place where so many folks get stuck when they start trying to make manifesting a daily habit is you go and you know what you want, but then you sit down and you try to imagine what the steps are that you need to take to get there, and you don't have a clue. Your mind goes blank. If this is you, I'm so excited that you're watching this because the simple trick based in science is called the power of objectivity. All you gotta do is stop visualizing yourself and insert your friend Mel Robbins or insert somebody else that you love and admire, and the power of objectivity is going to immediately switch you from a blocked mind to one that is bolder and more creative and able to visualize the steps. Now, I'm not just making this up. There's extraordinary research that was just written about in the Harvard Business School Review. They did 8 different studies at the University of Wisconsin where they were studying the power of objectivity. And with thousands of participants, here's what they found. When participants tried to visualize themselves doing hard things immediately, the participants, when they thought about themselves doing something hard, like let's just say asking for a raise. Okay, I want you to imagine yourself asking for a raise or applying for that dream job. When you visualize yourself doing it, you immediately focus in on minutia. You start imagining all kinds of things that could go wrong. You start arguing against yourself, and doubt comes flooding in. You have a very cautious mindset when you place yourself in those scenarios. However, if you were to visualize me, Mel Robbins, asking for that raise, immediately your mindset switches to being very bold, being creative, seeing all kinds of opportunities. And in fact, when you not only visualize me, your friend Mel Robbins, asking for that raise that you want, when you give me advice, you're super enthusiastic. You're like, Mel, you should go for it. And I bet in your life you have probably told friends or loved ones, you should ask for more money, and you mean it because you're visualizing them. But you yourself won't visualize yourself doing that. You talk yourself out of it. We've all had this experience. You yourself are probably sitting there going, you're right, Mel. I constantly tell my friends, you deserve more. You should break up with that jerk. You should go for it. But when it comes to yourself, you see the excuses in depth. So I want you to leverage not only this common sense, but this research to your advantage when it comes to manifesting. Pick what you want, and then if your mind goes blank when it comes to seeing yourself do the work, literally just insert your friend Mel Robbins or insert anybody that you love. In fact, I got a story about this. Years and years ago, this would have been, 20 years ago. At the time I was a life coach, and I had a really small little practice here in Boston. And I went to a seminar that Oprah Winfrey had here at the Boston Convention Center. It was part of her Live Your Best Life tour. And I went to the seminar because I thought, well, this would be a great place to land life coaching clients, right? You got thousands of women at the convention center who all want to improve their life, so I can go and I can network, and who knows, I might meet some amazing women and meet some amazing business partners and land some clients. So I'm sitting in the audience and, the DJ starts playing the music and everybody gets out of their chairs. We all start dancing around with our name tags on, and then all of a sudden, the DJ dies down the music, and we all settle down, and this woman walks on the stage. Now, I didn't recognize this woman. I didn't have my program in my hands. I had no idea who it was. I had never seen her before. I had never heard her before. When they announced her name, not a clue. All I knew was when she started talking, something inside me was like energetically something shifted. I bet you've had those moments where you're like, boom, you know that something is meant for you. You just feel pulled toward it. Like, you can have this experience with a piece of clothing, with a house, with a puppy, with a person, with an experience, with a place. Well, this woman walks on stage, and I had this energetic shift that was like, and I immediately felt my body go, you need to be doing that. But what I saw was, she's on a stage, she's clearly an author, she's making people laugh, she's inspiring. Oh my gosh, she's a life coach. Well, this person I'm talking about is none other than Martha Beck. I didn't know her at the time, but she's an international best-selling author. She writes for O Magazine. She was clearly speaking on a stage, and guess what? She was Oprah's designated life coach. And so I have this energetic shift where I'm like, I want to be doing that. I want to go from just coaching individual clients to having an impact on a much bigger scale. Now, keep in mind, at the time, I have only been coaching people for 2 or 3 years. I've never given a speech. I had never written an article in a magazine. I didn't have a book. I didn't know how to do any of those things. But I went home from that seminar and I sat down and I cracked open my journal and I'm like, I want to speak on stages. I want to write things for magazines. I want to write a book. I want to impact millions of people. I want to do what Martha Beck is doing. I didn't know how to do any of it, and so I developed this simple tool. Now, little did I know I was just instinctively leveraging the power of objectivity. Since I didn't know what to do, and I also didn't know who to ask because 20 years ago, I didn't know a single person that had published a book. I didn't know anybody that wrote for magazines. I didn't know anybody that spoke on stages for a living. And I certainly didn't know anybody that knew Oprah. So I didn't even have anybody that I could ask. There weren't as many articles online, so it's not like I could blog. YouTube was not really a thing, so it's not like I could watch videos. I mean, you know how lucky you are to be able to research all this stuff? I was just me, Mel Robbins, with a handful of clients here in Boston, now inspired to do what Martha Beck is doing with no clue how to go from here to there. I didn't know the steps, so I came up with this little tool. It's so funny when I think about it now. You want to know what the tool was? What would Martha Beck do? I said, what would Martha Beck do? Because I figured Mel Robbins had never done any of those things, but Martha Beck had. So, in any moment where I didn't know what I should do, I just figured I would ask myself, well, what would Martha Beck do? And I kind of thought that maybe if I acted like she acted, maybe I would eventually start to steer my life in the direction that her life was headed in terms of writing books and standing on stages 20 years ago. So I was leveraging the power of objectivity. So this is what happened. A couple weeks go by and nothing miraculous happens in my life. And I get an email and I'm up late and I'm working on something. And this email comes in and the email is from a friend of mine who works in New York. Hadn't seen her in a while, but she knew that I was a life coach. And I noticed that she was forwarding a PR request from Inc. magazine. And Kate wrote to me, "Hey Mel, not sure if you're still life coaching, but see below. Someone is writing an article about life coaching for Inc. magazine. Thought you may be interested in applying." So I scroll down and I immediately start to read the email. Now, there are a couple things that jumped out immediately, right? Number one, the PR request was over a month old. Number two, the deadline had already passed for submissions to be featured in the article. Number three, I had none of the credentials that they were looking for life coaches. Number four, I had none of the types of clients that they were looking for. Now, thinking about it from Mel Robbins' point of view, my mind got very cautious, and I started to focus on all the minutiae. I'm too late. I'm not qualified. I've missed the deadline. They're never going to pick me. Self-doubt starting to creep in, just like it's happening for you when you manifest right now. Your mind is going blank. You're full of doubt, which is why you can't see the steps. I, in that moment, asked myself, well, I know what Mel Robbins would do. Mel Robbins would hit delete and go on with her evening. But what would Martha Beck do? The second I leveraged the power of objectivity, and I imagined her in the situation that I was in, my mind got more creative. It got bolder. It got more energized. I saw a possibility. I literally said to myself, well, what have I got to lose? Martha Beck would probably just respond. And so I did. I just freeformed the thing. I wrote this long email and I hit send. Do you know, the very next morning, the person that had sent the inquiry out wrote me back and said, I've already finished the article. I was about to submit it, but I was so taken with your email that I'd love to come up to Boston and follow you around for a day and include you in the article. And it was that article, which published about 5 months later, that caught the attention of a bunch of people in the media business in New York. And that's what caused this major pivot that happened in my career. honest to God, it was the power of objectivity and simply asking myself, what would Martha Beck do? So, super common to feel super stuck when you know what you want, but you can't visualize yourself taking those steps because you're thinking cautious. Your self-doubt is consuming you. You are insecure in your ability to actually do those things, so you can't even embrace the visualization of yourself doing it. Simple. Insert someone else, and you can always pick your friend Mel Robbins. Let's just say that you are really inspired to get into home renovations and buying and flipping houses. And let's just say you've always dreamt of doing this. And you watch the home improvement networks like it's your job, and you just love everything about real estate, flipping houses, but you've never done it. And so, when you go to visualize it, you don't even know where to start. Just insert Mel Robbins. What would Mel Robbins do? I guarantee you, the second you visualize me in there, you're gonna be like, oh well, Mel Robbins would start studying it. Mel Robbins would take a course on it. Mel Robbins would ask people about it. Mel Robbins would start going to open houses. Mel Robbins would take a class about it. Mel Robbins would talk to people who are doing it. You will immediately be able to see all of the things that I would do because your mind, when you leverage the power of objectivity, gets bold, gets creative, gets enthusiastic. Now what you're going to do is you see me doing the work, right? You're now going to insert yourself next to me, and you're going to see me going, oh hey, I'm so glad you're here because I could use your help. I want you to take this class with me, and you know what we're going to do this weekend? You and I are going to go to open houses. And you know what we're going to do next weekend? You and I are going to sit down and watch YouTube tutorials on how you get started in this business. And you know what we're going to do the following weekend? You and I are going to read blogs about how you can get financing for doing this. And you know how we're going to do this weekend? And I will walk you step by step in your visualization in doing it. And you visualizing yourself next to me will jumpstart your mind into being bolder, more enthusiastic, more creative. And that, my friend, is the simple trick that you can use in order to leverage the power of objectivity to get unstuck and unblocked when you start manifesting and get yourself moving towards your dreams. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're gonna like this one too. I'll see you there. All right, so let's dive into the science behind manifestation. Research in neuroscience and psychology shows that our thoughts can indeed influence our reality. Studies have found that visualizing our goals activates the same neural networks that are used when we actually achieve those goals. This means that our brain can't really tell the difference between imagination and reality. It's pretty fascinating, right? So by focusing on positive outcomes and visualizing our success, we are essentially training our brain to make those outcomes more likely. Now let's talk about Martha Beck, a renowned life coach and author. Martha emphasizes the importance of aligning our actions with our true desires. She believes that when we are clear about what we want and take steps towards it, the universe responds in kind. Martha's teachings show us that manifesting is not just about wishful thinking, but also about taking inspired action. It's about being in tune with our inner selves and trusting the process. So how do we apply the power of objectivity in our daily lives? One effective method is to keep a manifestation journal. Write down your goals, dreams, and the steps you need to take to achieve them. Reflect on your progress regularly and adjust your actions as needed. Another technique is to practice mindfulness, staying present and aware of your thoughts and feelings. This helps you stay focused and objective, making it easier to manifest your desires. In conclusion, manifestation is a powerful tool that can help us create the life we desire. By understanding the science behind it, learning from experts like Martha Beck, and applying techniques like journaling and mindfulness, we can harness the power of our thoughts to shape our reality. Remember, it's not just about thinking positively, but also about taking inspired action. So, keep believing, stay focused, and trust that the universe is working in your favor. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Keep manifesting your dreams.